It's so hard to pour something from a mug because both air and liquid tend to flow along a surface. This phenomenon is called the Coanda effect. It makes the molecules of the liquid you're pouring get drawn to the mug's surface. Another reason is surface tension. Molecules of a liquid tend to stick to one another rather than to air. So, the water sticks together and flows down the side of a mug instead of going where you want it to. There are several theories about why shower curtains move toward our bodies, but most of them agree on one point. It happens because of the difference in the air pressure on different sides of the curtain. The pressure is lower inside the shower, so that's where the curtain gets drawn. Why W is called W and not double V is an old story. English is based on the Latin language. In Latin, there was no W. Instead, there was a U that sounded exactly like a W, but could only be put before a vowel. For example, horse is equus in Latin, and there's literally a W that sounds just like our W. Later, UU started to be used as a separate letter. When the printing press was invented, they began to write UU as VV. Over time, these two letters started to be printed together. That's how the W appeared, but the name stuck. Ships have round windows that are called portholes. They have such a shape because, this way, windows get more resistant than regular ones. In a rectangular window, the stress is focused in the corners, making them weak spots. In a circular shape, the stress is distributed evenly, and the window is more resistant. This is especially important for ships because they're under constant stress from sunlight, waves, and rainwater. When flies rub their legs together, they just clean them. There are tiny hairs all over a fly's body. They allow the insect to see. So, to be able to find food, flies have to keep their hairs clean at all times. That's why they rub their legs together every time they get a chance. Now, you must have noticed that wet things become darker. The reason why you see things is because light bounces off them and reaches your eyes. In the dark, you can barely see anything because almost no light can reach you. The more light there is, and the more of it bounces off, the brighter the thing looks. When an item is wet, some of the light falling on it gets absorbed. Less light bounces off, and the thing appears to be darker. Colored soap has white foam because of the phenomenon of scattering of light. Any light rays that fall on an object either get absorbed or reflected back. Things that absorb all colors appear black. Those that reflect all colors are white. A red bar of soap is red because only the red color is reflected back. All other colors get absorbed. But foam consists of many little bubbles. Each of them scatters light in different directions. That's why foam looks white. There are only several eye colors. That's because the color of your eyes is determined by the amount of pigment in the front layer of your iris. If there's a lot of brown pigment, your eyes are brown. The eyes of those who don't have this pigment appear blue. That's because they scatter light in such a way that more blue light gets reflected back out. This is the same reason why the sky and the sea look blue. Some people get bitten by mosquitoes more often than others, so please don't stand next to me. There are two factors that make these insects bite particular people. The first one is the amount of carbon dioxide a person exhales. People who emit more of this gas, basically because they breathe more, are more attractive to mosquitoes. The second factor might be your blood type. Scientists say that people with O blood type seem more alluring to skeeters. Sweat and high body temperatures can also attract these pests. A fun fact, only female mosquitoes bite humans. This way they get some protein needed to lay eggs. Laughter is usually contagious. Doctors have discovered that people are generally more emotionally responsive to positive sounds rather than to negative ones. That's why when you hear someone laughing, you tend to respond in kind. Also, laughter increases bonds between people. That's why they might unconsciously want to laugh together. It's quite hard to smile naturally in photographs. When you smile because you're genuinely happy, not only the muscles of your mouth do the job, people smile with their eyes too. Crow's feet around the eyes appear and cheeks get pulled up. But when you try to smile without feeling all that cheerful, you don't use all the needed muscles. You only focus on your mouth. This makes your smile look unnatural. My trick is to think of chocolate. Most people think they look better in a mirror than on camera. In the mirror, your image is flipped. Left is right and right is left. That's how you're used to seeing yourself. In a picture, you see yourself the way others do, and it can be shocking. Also, when you look in a mirror, you see yourself in motion. You adjust your facial expression and movements to look nicer. In a picture, you're frozen. Let it go. Plus, you don't have a chance to change your expression or fix your posture. Everything gets quiet when it snows because snow absorbs sounds. There are little gaps between and inside snowflakes. Sound waves get trapped there. But only fresh, light, and fluffy snow can capture sounds well. Then it consumes up to 60% of noise. When snow is wet and heavy, there is less space left inside and the sound doesn't get trapped. Time passes by fast when you're asleep. That's because when sleeping, you aren't conscious. You're completely absorbed by what you're doing. and you don't notice the flow of time. A similar thing happens when you're doing something you really love. Hours pass by, but you don't track time. People tend to see bright spots and weird patterns when they rub their eyes. These colors and shapes are called phosphenes. When you rub your eyes, you increase the pressure on the eyeballs. This activates the neurons of the retina that produce visual information. Once they're activated, your brain thinks you're looking at the light, and it tries to actually see it. It's hard to notice your own typos because you don't read every single word and every single letter. Instead, when reading, you check the meaning of what's written. It's harder when you read your own work because you already know what it's about. That's why you focus on the text way less than people who see it for the first time. Robots actually can click the "I'm not a robot" checkbox, but what Google observes is how one does it. If it's a human behind the screen, it'll take some time to check the box. Also, there will be some mouse movement. Usually, you touch the device first, then click the button. Robots do it differently. They download the page, and then the checkbox is clicked programmatically. There's no movement. This difference allows Google to distinguish between robots and humans. Lots of people can understand a language, but not speak it. The easiest explanation for this phenomenon is that it's harder for them to come up with a whole phrase. Understanding is easier because you can recognize just a couple of words, and the meaning will be clear. Let's say someone tells you, "The weather is sunny today, let's go for a walk." You've understood the word weather, sunny, and walk. Then you can easily put these words together and figure out what they mean. But if you had to say this phrase, you'd have to come up with more than 3 words, which is way harder to do. Balloons make a loud sound when they pop because the air inside is under higher pressure than the air outside. That's why balloons expand. The air wants to get out, but the balloon holds it inside. This makes the pressure grow. Once the balloon pops, all the pressure is released at once, producing a pressure wave that creates the bang.